A cop just asked you, whose vehicle is this? And your answer in the next 5 seconds could either protect you or put you in handcuffs. Most gun owners get this completely wrong, and it costs them everything. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed yet? Because what I'm about to share could be the difference between walking away free and spending the next 10 years in federal prison. Hit that subscribe button right now. I'll wait. Okay, let's get into it. So here's the situation. You're sitting in your car. Maybe you're parked outside a convenience store. Maybe you just got pulled over for a broken taillight. A police officer walks up to your window, looks inside, and says those 5 words, "Whose vehicle is this?" Simple question, right? Wrong. That question is not what it sounds like. And if you answer it the way most people do, you may have just handed law enforcement everything they need to search your car, find your legally owned firearm, and turn a routine traffic stop into a criminal investigation. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what this question really means, why cops ask it, what the law actually says about your answer, and the 4 words that protect you every single time. Stay with me, because this gets really important really fast. Let's start with why cops ask this question in the first place. When an officer approaches your vehicle and asks, "Whose vehicle is this?" they are not making small talk. They are doing something very specific. They are trying to establish ownership or control of the vehicle. Why does that matter? Because under the law, if you claim ownership or control of a vehicle, you are also claiming responsibility for everything inside it. That includes your firearm. That includes anything else an officer might find during a search. Here's something most people do not know. Courts have consistently ruled that a person who claims ownership of a vehicle has reduced expectations of privacy in some circumstances. Now, I know that sounds complicated, so let me break it down simply. If you say, "Yes, this is my car," you have just connected yourself directly to every item inside that vehicle. Now, that is not automatically a problem if you are doing everything right. But here's the crazy part. Even legal gun owners get tripped up here because of what comes next in the conversation. Officers are trained in a technique called a consensual encounter or a voluntary conversation. The goal is to get you talking. The more you talk, the more information they gather. And that information can be used to justify a deeper search, additional questioning, or even probable cause for an arrest. This is not about officers being bad people. This is about how the system works. And you need to understand the system to protect yourself inside it. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The 4th Amendment to the United States Constitution protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures. The 5th Amendment protects you from being forced to incriminate yourself. These 2 amendments together are the foundation of your rights during any police encounter. But here's the problem. Rights do not protect you automatically. You have to actually use them. And most gun owners do not know how to use them correctly in the moment because they are nervous, they want to seem cooperative, and they do not want to make the officer angry. I completely understand that feeling. But let me tell you something important. Being polite and protecting your rights are not opposites. You can do both at the same time. And that is exactly what the 4 words I'm going to give you are designed to do. If you are finding this helpful so far, imagine what you will learn in my next video where I cover exactly what to say when an officer asks if you have any weapons in the vehicle. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it. It could be the most important video you watch this year. Okay, so what are the 4 words? Here they are. When a cop asks, "Whose vehicle is this?" you say, "Am I being detained?" 4 words. That is it. Let me explain exactly why these 4 words work and what happens next. When you ask, "Am I being detained?" you're doing several things at once. First, you're exercising your constitutional rights without being aggressive or confrontational. Second, you're forcing the officer to clarify the nature of the encounter. Third, you are not confirming or denying ownership of the vehicle, which means you are not handing over information that could be used against you. Fourth, you're staying calm and legal throughout the entire interaction. Here is what most people get wrong. They think asking this question will make the officer angry or make them look guilty, but that is not how the law works. You have an absolute right to know whether you are free to go or whether you're being detained. Every court in this country recognizes that right. An officer who gets angry because you asked a lawful question is an officer who does not want you to know your rights. And that alone is a reason to stay very careful in that moment. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Every situation is different, every state has different laws, and every encounter has unique details. Always consult a licensed attorney for guidance on your specific situation. What I am giving you here is a starting point for understanding your rights, not a substitute for professional legal counsel. Let me walk you through a hypothetical example to explain this more clearly. Imagine you're parked in a shopping center parking lot. An officer pulls up next to you and gets out. He walks to your window and says, "Whose vehicle is this?" You are a legal gun owner. Your firearm is in your glove box. You have a valid concealed carry permit. You have done nothing wrong. If you say, "It's mine, officer," here is what can happen. The officer now knows you have a connection to this vehicle. He may ask follow-up questions about where you're going, where you have been, whether you have anything in the car. Each answer you give creates more connection and more potential exposure. One slightly wrong answer, one misunderstanding, and suddenly you are in a situation that started from absolutely nothing. Now, imagine instead you say, "Am I being detained?" The officer has to answer that question honestly. If he says no, you are not being detained, then you are free to go. You can politely say, "Then I am going to go ahead and leave," and that is it. If he says yes, you are being detained, then you know you are in a more serious situation, and you should say clearly and calmly, "I am going to remain silent, and I would like to speak with an attorney." At that point, you stop talking. You be polite, you do not resist, but you do not answer any more questions. This approach protects you whether you are completely innocent or whether you made some kind of honest mistake. It does not matter. Your rights exist for everyone in every situation. Using them is not an admission of guilt. It is what the Constitution was designed for. Hey, real quick. 73% of people watching right now are not subscribed to this channel. That means almost 3 out of 4 of you are going to miss the follow-up to this video, where I go even deeper into traffic stop rights for gun owners. Do not be in that group. Join the growing community of responsible gun owners who get these updates first. Click subscribe right now. Now let me talk about something that catches a lot of people off guard. What happens when there are multiple people in the vehicle? This is where the "whose vehicle is this" question gets even more strategic. When there are 2 or 3 people in a car, and an officer asks that question, he is often trying to figure out who is going to claim responsibility. The person who claims the vehicle often becomes the focus of the investigation. This is especially important if there is a firearm in the car and there is any question about who it belongs to. The 4 words still apply here. Anyone in the vehicle can and should ask, "Am I being detained?" It is not just for the driver. Passengers have rights too. A passenger who is not being detained can ask to leave. A passenger who is being detained has the right to remain silent and request an attorney. Knowing this protects everyone in the vehicle, not just the person behind the wheel. Here's something else that surprises people. You do not have to answer questions about the contents of your vehicle just because an officer asks. If an officer does not have probable cause, a warrant, or your consent, they generally cannot search your vehicle. Notice I said generally. There are exceptions, exigent circumstances, plain view doctrine, search incident to arrest. These are all real legal concepts that can change the situation. But the starting point is always the same. You do not have to volunteer information, you do not have to consent to a search, and you do not have to answer questions that could incriminate you. When you say, "Am I being detained?" right at the start, you are setting the tone for the entire interaction. You are communicating that you know your rights, and often that alone changes how the encounter unfolds. Officers are more careful when they know a person is aware of their legal protections. That is not a criticism of law enforcement. That is just how human psychology works in a professional context. Let me also address a common fear. A lot of gun owners tell me they are afraid that invoking their rights will escalate a situation and put them in physical danger. I understand that fear. It is real and it is valid. Here is what I always say. Your tone matters just as much as your words. You can say, "Am I being detained?" in a way that sounds hostile and aggressive, or you can say it in a calm, polite, respectful tone. The words are the same. The outcome can be very different. Always be calm. Always be respectful. Never physically resist. But use your words to protect yourself every single time. This information is time sensitive. Laws around police encounters and firearm rights are being challenged and updated constantly across different states. Subscribe right now because my next video is going to cover what happens after you ask, "Am I being detained?" Specifically, what officers can and cannot do legally in the next 60 seconds of that encounter. You do not want to miss it. Let me bring this all together for you. When a cop asks, "Whose vehicle is this?" they are not just being curious, they are gathering information. Every word you say can and will be used to build a picture of the situation. Your job is not to lie. Your job is not to be rude. Your job is simply to not give away information you're not required to give. The 4 words, "Am I being detained?" do exactly that. They are polite, they are legal, they are constitutionally protected, and they immediately shift the dynamic of the encounter in your favor. If you are a legal gun owner who takes your rights seriously, these 4 words need to be automatic. Practice saying them out loud right now. Say them like you're talking to an officer. Calm voice, steady eye contact. "Am I being detained?" That is all you need in that moment. Look, I spend hours going through case law, legal updates, and real-world scenarios, so you do not have to. The least you can do is hit that subscribe button to support this channel and make sure you never miss a critical update. Join the gun owners who are staying informed, staying protected, and staying out of legal trouble. Subscribe right now and share this video with someone who carries. You might be saving them from a situation they do not even know they're walking into. Remember, knowing your rights is only half the battle. The other half is knowing how to use them calmly and correctly in the moment. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Laws vary by state and by situation. Always speak with a qualified attorney about your specific circumstances. Stay safe, stay informed, and I will see you in the next one.